Hello and welcome. Join me today as I make a belt with only grocery store ingredients. There are a lot of reasons why I'm taking this challenge, and I do love a challenge. Today I'm using a coconut, cotton twine, and a splash of walnut oil. We start with our coconut. Firstly, I'm just going to pull off any loose fiber to make it easier to work with. As you may already know, a coconut is just one giant seed, and the three darker spots you see on the top in a moment, they're germination pores. The coconut would tend to pick only one to send the shoots out. That one will be the softest and therefore the easiest for us to pry into. And hey look, there's a shoot trying to go the other way as we pry into it. And after punching a hole through it with the skewer, we can now begin draining it. Now, there are more civilized ways to drain it, but shaking it like this is way more fun. After this project, we will hopefully end up with a belt, but also a snack and some juice. Let me know what your favourite uses are for coconut in the comments below. I'm sharing some of mine with the birds. Now the juice is out, we can start sawing it up without making an astronomical mess. I plan to cut out 2 rings here to make an O-ring buckle for my belt. Because it grows in a way I can cut rings straight from it, it should be pretty strong and I won't need to worry so much about grain direction versus something like wood. Well, strong as long as I don't make it too thin. As I finish sawing each ring, I've got my finger over it so it doesn't fall. Okay, doing the same again as last time, seeing as it went so well. And nice, it worked. To separate the meat from the shell, we're going to pry out a small section, then find the brown layer in between and pry on it gently so that when we push it from the other side, it pops right out. And these are our rings so far. Admittedly, I did cut a bit off the top of the smallest one and a bit off the bottom of the bigger one to get it evenly sized, but I'm just going to shave off the rest of the fibre with the knife. But I'm not going too deep. I kind of like the pattern of it when you leave a little bit on. I also don't want it to lose strength. Then we're going to do the same to the other side, of course. Next comes the sanding. Then after wiping the dust off, we're going to buff it with a paper towel. And then it's time for the oil. May have gotten a little carried away there. I'm using unrefined walnut oil, which I know is a popular choice for wooden cutting boards because it's food safe. I'm just rubbing it into both of these with a paper towel until they're wet and glossy all over. In short, unlike many other oils used in the kitchen, which stay oily over time, when unrefined walnut oil is exposed to oxygen, it will start to polymerize and harden, a bit like true drying oils do. This will add a scrumptious sheen and smooth texture to our finished belt buckle, and some protection from things like UV and moisture. Now we'll wipe off any remaining oil, so we've got a decent layer soaked into the rings. The reason for removing the excess of is so the areas where the oil is soaked in the deepest don't get starved of oxygen by too much oil above it, which would prevent it from hardening properly. Now I'll leave this to dry out for about a day. We'll work on the strap in the meantime. For the strap, we're going to need 12 9.4 meter lengths of cotton twine. Now, I don't have a 9.4 meter area to mark this out in, so I've doubled it up a couple times on my room floor. I'm going to make the thin cotton twine into thicker twisted cord, that way I can half the amount of weaving I need to do for the same size strap. I'm aiming for a 1.2 meter strap with a fair amount of excess. Twisted cord is simple. The further you try to twist a piece of string, the more it tries to untwist. If you fold that same piece of string in half, instead of unraveling it will coil around itself and stay that way. Here's a scaled down demonstration of how I did it. I've got a binder clipped to a weighed down piece of paper on the right, and I'm going to pull the string through it. And I've got this glass jar, and I'm just going to use it to hold the string so it doesn't untwist while I'm working on the other half. And now I'm just going to start twisting that between my fingers. And now I'll swap strings. Now I'm just going to double knot it at this end, and you'll notice when I release the binder, it will stay twisted around itself. Anyway, don't need that. I'm going to ram my 4mm knitting needle through the middle of this twisted cord at the halfway point, and this will just help me thread it. To start our strap, we've got 6 of our strings folded in half around the knitting needle on the right, and I've got a book on the left that's just holding everything down so it doesn't go for a wander. And as you can see, I'm just doing a simple over and under and pulling it through. Then we do an opposite over and under with our knitting needle, and pull that cord back through. And then we just repeat for the rest of our string. After tightening it all up, we're going to get that string on the left, and we're going to go under over all the way to the other side, then pull it through. Then we'll do the same again until we've got 2 strings on the right. Then we're going to pull that string we did on the previous step over the one we've just done and down. Now we're back to 1 string on the right. All we need to do is repeat the previous step over and over, and that's our weave. After a few weaves, I pulled it a bit at the end to make it more rounded. It just makes me happy. As I went, I pulled on it gently so it tightened and reached its full size. And before I knew it, I was at 1.3 meters. If I tied it off like this, it would be at an angle, so we're going to fix that now. Laid out like this, we can now start weaving only the left side so that it evens out straight. The first cord on the left is going to go through these 2 groups of string here. Then the second cord is only going through the left group. Now for tying off. Starting with the second cord in, I'm going to pull it over the left one, under the left one, and then up through the middle of them. Using the cord I've just tied and pulled down, I'm going to do the same thing with the ones on the right. Then we're just going to give that a bit of a yank. And then, well, now I'll have to do a few adjustments, but yeah, I should have tied that a bit closer in hindsight. Now, I'm going to tighten it up with that one on the left, and that's going to make it a little bit neater for later. And then we're going to repeat exactly how we did it in the previous step, tying it off all the way to the right again. And now for the spooky part. We've got to cut off all that excess string. And we're going to use one of these strings with the folded end that's been cut and pulled back into normal twine to double stitch our strap back on itself to hold the buckle in. Now we pull our strap through our buckles that are facing away from us and we'll fold it down on itself. If I had a tapestry needle, I'd be using it, but what I'm doing here is I'm using my knitting needle to widen the hole to pull the string through. And when I do push it through, I'm going to put it through as far as I can, that way I won't accidentally pick up a random piece of my weave and pull it. And here's what the stitch looks like. I tried to highlight it a bit so you can see it. Then I'm just going to double knot that. Then cut the tails. And even though we're not going to see this part, I'm still going to tuck the tails into the weave. That way it doesn't get caught in anything. And now, we've got ourselves a belt. To put the belt on, you'll need to pull the tail through the middle of both the hoops. Slide the front one over, then pull it back through the middle of only the back one. Then just pull it tight. To get it tighter, you'll need to pull the strap that's closest to your waist through the middle of the belt. Then you just pull on the tail until there's no more slack. Let's walk. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. Until next time, see you around.